Always be ready to survive alone. The day will arrive when everything you trusted to hold you steady crumbles beneath your feet. When every familiar face disappears into shadows, leaving you standing in complete solitude. Dear friends, eventually existence will tear away every cushion you believed would catch your fall. Companions will evaporate, assistance will vanish, and those you trusted most will abandon you. In that critical hour, only you will remain to depend upon. Without the inner fortitude to stand independently, you'll shatter into pieces. Yet if you've prepared yourself, if you've cultivated the resilience to endure without anyone else's presence, nothing can stop your forward momentum. I'm here to explain why developing this inner strength represents the most transformative achievement of your lifetime. Existence has a cruel method of demonstrating that regardless of how many souls encircle us, regardless of our capacity for love, regardless of the support system we imagine surrounds us, moments will emerge when we face the world in complete isolation. This isn't speculation about possibility, it's certainty about timing. During those pivotal moments, your survival, evolution, and triumph will rest entirely upon your personal resilience, your individual strength, and your capacity to sustain yourself without external support. Whenever you depend excessively on others for stability, you surrender control to their whims. You make your well-being hostage to their decisions, their emotional states, and their continued presence. However, when you master independent survival, you reclaim that authority. You cease waiting for rescue and transform into your own deliverer. You abandon expectations for the world to accommodate you, and instead forge your own space through determination. Nothing surpasses the empowerment of gazing at your reflection and recognizing your sufficiency to battle, to persist, and to flourish, regardless of who remains, departs, or betrays you. Mastering solitary survival doesn't require rejecting love or human connection. It demands refusing to make them essential for your existence. You breathe independently, walk alone, and make choices without requiring unanimous endorsement. You discover solace in your own presence, quiet the anxiety that emerges during isolated moments, and trust that whatever tempests arise, you possess the strength to weather them without collapse. Reality will challenge you in unforeseeable ways. Those you expected would remain forever might vanish. The foundations you considered unshakable might dissolve overnight. When this occurs, there's no luxury of surrender while awaiting salvation. You must become the savior. You must dry your own tears, lift yourself from despair, and whisper internally, "Rise up." Our journey continues. This defines surviving alone, choosing to champion yourself, even when nobody observes, even when the universe seems to have forgotten your existence. The path isn't simple. The journey towards self-sufficiency is constructed with harsh realities. You'll discover that some people you cherished most deeply never truly supported your success. You'll witness hands you desperately reached for pulling away instead. These revelations aren't meant to breed cynicism. They're designed to forge you into something unbreakable. They're meant to refine your edges so you can slice through life's chaos without losing your essence in the struggle. Independent survival isn't about demonstrating anything to others. It's about proving something to yourself. It's about awakening daily and declaring, "I possess the capability to construct my own existence, my own tranquility, my own achievements." It's about no longer allowing your joy to depend on anyone else's behavior. It's about discovering power in quietude, in isolation, in those peaceful moments where only you and your thoughts exist, and realizing you provide sufficient companionship for yourself. When you learn to stand independently, manipulation becomes impossible. You stop accepting disrespect because losing people no longer terrifies you. You stop compromising your principles because you understand you can depart and remain complete. You stop pleading for attention, affection, or approval because you already provide these gifts to yourself. This type of strength transforms everything. It alters your energy, your connections, and how the world responds to your presence. Don't confuse independence with isolation. Surviving alone is a capability, not a permanent lifestyle you must embrace forever. It means you select relationships from abundance, not desperation. You can still love profoundly, but your love becomes a choice, not a lifeline. You can still rely on others, but it's support, not collapse. When you know independent survival is possible, you enter relationships without desperation, without terror, without constant anxiety that someone's absence will annihilate you. Constructing this strength begins with modest steps. Learn to accomplish things independently that you've always required others to handle. Learn to make decisions without consulting numerous people for opinions. Learn to sit with your emotions instead of drowning them with diversions. Learn to trust your instincts even when everyone disagrees. Each time you choose to face challenges alone, you're conditioning your mind and heart for greater trials ahead. You'll encounter nights when isolation feels like it's crushing your ribcage. You'll face mornings when leaving bed seems impossible because nobody checks on your welfare. You'll experience days when you crave someone to confirm you're succeeding. During those moments, you must become that someone. You must be the voice saying, "I recognize you. I'm proud of you. Continue forward." This embodies the survival mentality, becoming simultaneously the warrior and the cheerleader, the wounded and the physician. There's power in knowing you can lose everything and still retain yourself. That regardless of how many times existence strips you bare, you'll discover methods to reconstruct. That you can navigate betrayal, heartbreak, and disappointment without allowing them to transform your heart into stone. That you can preserve your tenderness while remaining unshakable. The world respects those capable of standing independently. This isn't about arrogance, it's about self-respect. When you can survive alone, you carry yourself differently. You stop pursuing, you stop begging, you stop diminishing yourself. You become magnetic because you radiate the truth that you're complete with or without anyone's presence. People sense that energy and respond accordingly. Yes, this will frighten some individuals. Some will claim you're too independent, that you don't need anyone. Let them speak. What they're actually expressing is their inability to control you. They can't manipulate you through abandonment fears. You've shattered the chain that traps countless people in toxic patterns. You've chosen freedom, and that will always discomfort the insecure. You don't need to announce your strength to the world. Your actions will speak volumes. The way you carry yourself, establish boundaries, and refuse to settle for less than you deserve. These are the hallmarks of someone who knows they can survive independently. You don't need to prove it. You simply need to embody it. So prepare yourself. Prepare for the day when nobody answers your calls. Prepare for the day when those you counted on disappear. Prepare for moments when life corners you and you have no option but to stand and fight alone. When that day arrives, don't crumble, don't beg, don't wait. Rise. Because the truth is, once you understand how to survive alone, you'll never fear solitude again. And that represents the kind of power nobody can steal from you. When you comprehend that you are your own constant, everything begins shifting. People may enter your life with magnificent promises, but reality reveals human beings are unpredictable. Their emotions change, their priorities shift, their lives take turns you cannot foresee. If you've attached your sense of worth, happiness, or stability to another person, you'll feel like the foundation beneath you collapses when they leave. But if you've anchored yourself in your own strength, you will not shatter. You may bend, you may stumble, you may experience pain, but you will not break. The art of surviving alone is built upon deep self-trust. It's the unshakable belief that regardless of what happens, you have the ability to find solutions. You might not know all the answers immediately, but you trust that you'll learn, adapt, and navigate through. This mindset isn't built overnight. It's forged through every challenge you face, every time you've had to solve problems without guidance, every time you faced heartbreak and still showed up for life the next day, every time you've been scared but acted anyway. Those moments are the bricks constructing the fortress within you. People often fear solitude because they've never truly sat with themselves. They flee from silence, drowning it with noise, with distractions, with constant social interaction. But here's the truth: if you can't stand being alone with your own thoughts, you'll never truly be free. Freedom comes when you can sit in stillness and not feel empty, when you can hear your own voice without confusion, when you can find comfort in your own presence the way others find comfort in crowds. That's when solitude becomes a source of power instead of fear. There will be times when the path you choose will be unpopular, when the decisions you make will confuse those around you. They might question you, doubt you, even mock you. But when you're ready to survive alone, their approval becomes optional. You stop making choices to please the crowd and start making them to protect your future. You stop fearing rejection because you understand that rejection is just redirection away from places and people not meant for you. Being ready to stand alone also means preparing yourself for the discomfort that comes with growth. You may have to step away from circles you've outgrown, even if they feel familiar. You may have to decline opportunities that don't align with your values, even if they seem tempting. You may have to walk away from people you love when you realize they're holding you back. These choices hurt in the moment, but they strengthen you for life. Because when you choose yourself over temporary comfort, you're teaching the world and yourself that your life will be built on purpose, not convenience. The ability to survive alone gives you a different kind of confidence. You stop trying to prove yourself to everyone because you already know your worth. You stop chasing people because you're too busy building your own path. You stop comparing yourself to others because you understand that your journey is yours alone. That inner peace is priceless. It's the calm assurance that no matter where you are, no matter who's with you, no matter what challenges you face, you have everything you need within you. It's also about resilience. Life will not spare you from pain. You will lose things you thought you could never live without. You will face betrayals that leave scars. You will have days when it feels like nothing is going your way. But if you've built the habit of standing on your own 2 feet, you will weather those storms with grace. You will take the lessons from your losses and use them to rebuild stronger. You will let the pain shape you, but never define you. Surviving alone also teaches you to see the difference between want and need. You might want companionship, support, or encouragement, but you don't need them to exist, to function, or to succeed. When you remove that dependency, you start attracting relationships that are healthier because you're not using them to fill a void. They're an addition to your already full life, not the source of it. It's important to realize that being prepared to stand alone doesn't mean you never ask for help. It means you don't crumble if help doesn't come. It means you're capable of carrying yourself forward even when your hands are empty. It means you know how to be your own backup plan. That skill will save you in more ways than you can imagine. And here's another truth. When you're ready to survive alone, opportunities start to appear. People notice the energy of someone who is self-sufficient, disciplined, and unafraid of solitude. They see you as reliable, as someone who can be trusted to deliver, regardless of the circumstances. This is why the strongest leaders are often those who have faced their battles alone. Because when you can hold yourself up without support, you can carry others without being carried. You'll also find that the more comfortable you become with standing alone, the less desperate you are to keep things that are no longer serving you. You stop clinging to relationships out of fear of being single. You stop holding on to jobs you hate because you're afraid of starting over. You stop settling for less because you know you can create more for yourself. And that is the kind of freedom that opens doors you didn't even know existed. The journey to this kind of strength is not glamorous. It's messy. It's filled with moments where you question yourself, where you cry in private, where you feel the weight of the world on your shoulders. But each of those moments is shaping you into someone who cannot be shaken, someone who even in the darkest times can still light their own fire. You might notice that people treat you differently when you no longer depend on them. Some will respect you more while others may feel threatened. Some will admire your independence while others may try to test it. But the beauty of being able to survive alone is that none of this changes your path. Whether they support you or not, you keep moving. Whether they believe in you or not, you keep building. Whether they stay or leave, you keep rising. In this world, control is often an illusion. You can't control the economy, the weather, the actions of others, or the twists of fate. But you can control your mindset. You can control how prepared you are for the day when everything changes. You can control how much you've invested in your own skills, your own discipline, and your own resilience. And when you've built those things, you become unstoppable. Not because the world can't hurt you, but because it can't end you. There's a peace that comes from knowing you have your own back. That no matter how chaotic life becomes, you're not at the mercy of anyone's choices but your own. That even in isolation, you are not lost. You're simply standing in your own power. That is what it means to be ready to survive alone. And the more you embrace this, the more you realize that solitude isn't just about survival, it's about creation. Some of your best ideas, your deepest clarity, your most transformative decisions will come when you are by yourself, undistracted, and focused on your own vision. You'll discover dreams you didn't know you had. You'll realize strengths you didn't know you possessed. You'll find answers you didn't know you were looking for. When you know how to survive alone, you stop being afraid of change. You stop fearing the unknown. You stop doubting your ability to start over because you've done it before. You've walked through fire and made it out stronger. You've lost everything and still found a way to keep going. You've been left alone and still managed to rise. And once you've done that, you carry that strength with you for life. You stop living with the constant fear of losing people, jobs, or stability because you know you can rebuild from scratch. You become bold in your decisions, daring in your dreams, fearless in your pursuit of what you want, because you know that even if you fall, you can catch yourself. That kind of fearlessness is rare and it's magnetic. You also become more present when you're no longer obsessed with who might leave or what you might lose. You start truly living in the moment. You start enjoying the people in your life for who they are without clinging to them. You start embracing opportunities without overthinking the risks. You start moving forward with the kind of quiet confidence that makes others wonder what your secret is. And perhaps the greatest gift of all, you learn to love yourself in a way that no one else's love could replace. You become your own safe place, your own source of validation, your own biggest supporter. You stop needing someone else to complete you because you were never incomplete to begin with. You just needed to realize that you've had everything you needed within you all along. When you've truly mastered the art of standing on your own, you begin to notice a shift not only in yourself, but in the way the world interacts with you. People sense your energy. They see that you're not clinging. You're not chasing, and you're not dependent on their approval. That kind of energy commands respect without you even asking for it. You walk into a room differently, not because you think you're better than anyone else, but because you know that whether you're celebrated or ignored, you're still going to shine. There's an incredible freedom that comes from realizing you are not tied to anyone's presence for your happiness. You stop playing small to keep others comfortable. You stop accepting crumbs when you know you deserve the feast. You stop negotiating with yourself just to fit into places you've outgrown. And this is when life starts rewarding you, not because it suddenly became easier, but because you stopped holding yourself back. The readiness to survive alone also removes the invisible chains that keep so many people stuck. Think about how many stay in unfulfilling jobs because they're afraid they can't make it without the steady paycheck. Think about how many remain in toxic relationships because they're terrified of starting over. Think about how many stay quiet when they should speak because they fear losing the approval of the people around them. When you have the ability to stand alone, you are no longer ruled by those fears. You become someone who chooses instead of someone who waits to be chosen. And let's be honest, this doesn't happen without work. Self-sufficiency requires skill. It demands that you invest in your mind, your body, your abilities. It asks you to get comfortable with discomfort, to push yourself beyond what feels safe, to learn things you once thought were out of your reach. It might mean teaching yourself to manage your own finances so you're never trapped in a situation because of money. It might mean learning how to fix something instead of always calling for help. It might mean developing a career or business so strong that you never have to settle for scraps. Every skill you gain becomes another layer of armor, another tool in your survival kit. And survival alone is not just physical, it's emotional. It's learning how to process pain without numbing it. It's learning to comfort yourself without needing someone else to tell you you're going to be okay. It's knowing how to pull yourself out of a dark mental space because you've done it before. Emotional independence is a skill just like any other. And once you have it, you'll never again be at the mercy of someone else's presence to feel whole. There's also a beauty in the way solitude sharpens your perspective. When you remove the noise of constant influence, you start to hear your own voice more clearly. You stop confusing other people's opinions for your own truth. You stop chasing trends or living according to expectations that were never yours to begin with. You start making choices that feel aligned with who you truly are. And when you live like that, life feels lighter. You move with purpose, and every step forward feels like it belongs to you. Not to the crowd, not to your circumstances, but to you. When you're ready to survive alone, you also stop waiting for perfect timing. You understand that there is no perfect moment, no flawless plan, no guaranteed safety net. You take action when the opportunity is in front of you, even if it scares you, because you trust that whatever happens, you can handle it. This trust in yourself is a game changer. It transforms fear into fuel, doubt into determination. It also makes you more selective with the people you let into your life. When you no longer need someone just to avoid being alone, you choose differently. You choose relationships that inspire, challenge, and uplift you, not ones that drain or diminish you. You stop settling for proximity and start prioritizing quality. You realize it's better to have no company than to have the wrong company. The strength to survive alone also creates a quiet kind of power, one that doesn't need to be loud or flashy. You're not out there shouting about your independence or trying to prove it to anyone. You simply live it. You show it in the way you handle challenges without collapsing. You show it in the way you keep moving forward when plans fall apart. You show it in the way you can lose something and still keep your heart open to the next chapter. That quiet power is magnetic because it's real and people can feel it. You'll also find that the more self-reliant you become, the more opportunities for growth appear. Doors open for those who can walk through them without being carried. People trust those who have proven they can carry themselves. And life rewards those who step into the unknown with courage, even if their hands are shaking. But here's the thing, this strength doesn't mean you never feel lonely. It means you don't let loneliness dictate your choices. You might still have days where you wish for someone to lean on, nights when you wish for a hand to hold, but the difference is you know how to keep going without it. You can feel the ache of wanting connection without letting it push you into situations that compromise your peace. This readiness also gives you resilience in ways others might not understand. You start to see challenges as tests instead of punishments. Every setback becomes a training ground for your character. Every disappointment becomes proof that you can handle more than you thought. Every time you fall, you rise a little faster, a little stronger, a little wiser. You also learn that life is not about avoiding being alone. It's about using the times you are alone to build something extraordinary. Some of the most powerful transformations happen when the world is quiet, when there's no one watching, when it's just you and your determination. That's when you start turning your scars into armor, your pain into purpose, your doubts into drive. When you are prepared to stand on your own, you stop living reactively. You're no longer just responding to whatever life throws at you. You start directing your life toward where you want to go. You start building habits, making decisions, and setting boundaries that protect your future. You become intentional with your time, your energy, and your focus because you understand that you are the one steering the ship. And the more you embrace this, the more unstoppable you become. Because the truth is the world will always change. People will always come and go, and circumstances will always shift. The only constant you have is you. And when you've built yourself into someone who can survive, thrive, and grow regardless of the situation, you hold the greatest advantage there is. You'll see that this readiness isn't just about surviving in the hard times. It's about thriving in the good times without fear. You can fully enjoy love because you're not terrified of losing it. You can take big risks in your career because you know you can recover if it fails. You can dream bigger because you trust your ability to handle whatever comes next. The truth is the people who live most fully are the ones who aren't afraid to be alone. They know that their worth doesn't come from being chosen, but from choosing themselves over and over again. They know that solitude isn't punishment. It's the space where the best versions of themselves are born. And maybe that's the most powerful part of all, knowing that you can walk into the unknown alone and still come out stronger, knowing that you can lose, fall, and fail, yet rise every single time, knowing that no matter what life takes from you, it can never take the person you've built yourself to be. Because that person, strong, capable, unshakable, is yours forever. The moment you truly realize that you are your own foundation, something deep within you shifts. You stop bargaining with your value. You stop asking the world for permission to exist on your own terms. You stop playing roles that don't fit you just to keep people happy. You understand that your life is yours to lead and that no one else's opinion, approval, or acceptance should determine how you live it. That is when you start to operate from a place of strength rather than survival. You begin to see that depending on others for your emotional stability is like building a house on shifting sand. It can look strong for a while, but the moment the tide comes in, it collapses. Standing on your own is about pouring the concrete of your confidence, your resilience, and your discipline so that no matter what storms hit, you remain upright. This doesn't mean you won't feel pain or fear, but it does mean those feelings won't define or control you. The ability to survive alone brings with it an awareness that life owes you nothing. Opportunities won't just knock. You'll have to build the door yourself. No one is coming to hand you your dreams tied neatly with a ribbon. You'll have to sweat for them, bleed for them, and refuse to give up even when it feels like everything is working against you. And that's the part that scares most people, the idea of taking full responsibility for their own lives. But once you embrace it, you'll find it's the most liberating truth there is. When you stop waiting for rescue, you start moving faster. You stop stalling for help that may never come and instead find solutions with what you have. You learn to adapt. You learn to think on your feet. You learn to improvise when the plan falls apart. You develop the courage to make decisions without consulting a dozen people first. That kind of decisiveness isn't born from ego. It's born from necessity, and it's the mark of someone who can lead themselves through any terrain. You'll also discover that when you have this self-reliance, you become less reactive to other people's behavior. Someone leaving your life doesn't destroy you, it simply redirects you. Someone betraying you doesn't paralyze you, it teaches you. Someone doubting you doesn't weaken you, it fuels you. You stop giving your power away by letting other people's actions dictate your emotions. Instead, you take every experience and turn it into a building block for the future you're creating. There's an undeniable clarity that comes from being able to survive alone. You start seeing who and what truly matters. You begin to separate the voices that build you from the voices that break you. You no longer feel the need to explain yourself endlessly to those who will never understand your vision. You learn to protect your peace by walking away from noise, from drama, from people who thrive on chaos. The more you do this, the lighter your steps become because you're no longer carrying the weight of unnecessary burdens. And yes, it's not always glamorous. There will be nights when you question everything. There will be mornings when you wake up with a heaviness you can't name. There will be moments when loneliness feels sharp enough to cut through you. But here's the truth, those moments pass. And when they do, you come out stronger for having faced them head on. Each time you endure without falling apart, you add another layer to your armor. The beauty of surviving alone is that it doesn't close you off from the world. It allows you to enter it more authentically. You no longer approach relationships from a place of fear or lack. You don't cling because you're afraid of being alone. You don't compromise your boundaries just to be accepted. You don't silence yourself just to keep someone close. Instead, you stand fully in who you are and allow others to meet you there or not at all. And here's something that might surprise you. When you stop needing people, you often end up with better people in your life. When you no longer seek validation, you attract those who respect you. When you no longer chase attention, you draw in those who appreciate you without games. When you no longer need saving, you connect with those who want to grow alongside you rather than control you. Your relationships become a choice, not a lifeline. Standing on your own also gives you the freedom to take risks others shy away from. You're not paralyzed by the thought of failure because you know failure won't destroy you. You've already learned how to rebuild. You've already stood in the ashes and created something new. You've already faced moments when you thought you couldn't go on and proved yourself wrong. That history makes you bold. It makes you willing to try, to leap, to push past limits because you trust that no matter the outcome, you will find a way forward. There is also a deeper gratitude that grows from surviving alone. You begin to appreciate the small victories, the days when you handle a challenge without losing your composure. The nights when you go to bed with a sense of peace after chaos, the mornings when you wake up and realize you've kept going despite everything. These moments remind you that your power isn't loud or always visible. It's in the consistency, the persistence, the refusal to quit. You also start to notice how much stronger your intuition becomes. When you're not constantly looking outward for guidance, you begin to hear the quiet voice within you. You trust it when it warns you. You follow it when it nudges you towards something unfamiliar. You respect it enough to pause when it tells you to wait. This inner compass grows sharper the more you depend on it, and it becomes one of your greatest tools in navigating life. The more you live this way, the more you realize that self-reliance isn't about isolation, it's about foundation. It's about having a base so solid that you can build anything on it without fear of collapse. It's about knowing that no matter what or who comes into your life, you will remain standing. It's about recognizing that your worth doesn't fluctuate with someone else's treatment of you. And once you truly understand this, you stop negotiating with yourself. You stop making excuses for why you can't start that project, leave that relationship, apply for that job, or move to that city. You stop letting doubt dictate your pace. You stop waiting for the perfect set of circumstances. You know that whatever resources you have now, however small, they are enough to begin. And once you begin, you trust yourself to figure out the rest along the way. Your resilience also begins to inspire others. Even if you never set out to be an example, people watch how you handle yourself when things fall apart. They notice that you don't crumble when you're left standing alone. They see that you continue to rise without bitterness. And in doing so, you give silent permission for others to find that strength within themselves. You become the proof that it's possible to live fully without depending on anyone to make you whole. You become the reminder that standing alone is not the same as being lonely. You become the evidence that the greatest power comes from within, not from the presence of others. And that, more than anything, is what keeps you unshakable when life inevitably tests you again. Because life will test you again. People will leave, plans will fail, circumstances will shift without warning. But when you've built yourself into someone who can survive and thrive alone, these moments no longer feel like endings. They feel like new beginnings. You've trained yourself to adapt, to endure, to create from nothing if necessary. You know how to turn loss into fuel, pain into purpose, and endings into the start of something better. And perhaps the most empowering part of all is that you no longer fear the unknown. You don't need to have all the answers before you take a step. You don't need to see the entire path before you start walking. You've learned that the strength you carry will guide you through every bend, every detour, every challenge that lies ahead. And that knowledge, that deep unwavering trust in yourself, is the kind of power that no one can take from you.